Tim Curry's name has suddenly become the center of heartbreaking speculation, with fans wondering whether the legendary actor has truly reached his final farewell. But there is one crucial question that must come before any emotional tribute. What is actually confirmed? Tim Curry is one of those performers whose name immediately brings back unforgettable characters, extraordinary performances, and a career that has remained deeply woven into popular culture for generations. From his unforgettable role as Dr. Frank-N-Furter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show to his chilling portrayal of Pennywise in the original It, and his many appearances across film, television, theater, and voice acting. That enormous legacy is exactly why any report claiming Tim Curry has died can spread so quickly and affect so many people. Because for millions of viewers, Curry was never simply another actor. His performances became part of their memories. His voice, his expressions, his theatrical presence, and his ability to transform completely for a role made him instantly recognizable. And whenever rumors surrounding his health or death appear, fans naturally want answers immediately. But without a verified announcement from Tim Curry's representatives, family, or another authoritative source, it would be irresponsible to present a death report as established fact. The reference provided for this story contains no confirmed details about a death, funeral, date of passing, cause, or memorial service, so those details cannot honestly be invented simply to create a more dramatic farewell. What can be explored is the extraordinary career that has made the possibility of losing Tim Curry so emotional for audiences around the world, and why even a rumor about his passing can bring decades of memories rushing back at once. Tim Curry was born in England and developed his career through theater before becoming an international screen star, and that theatrical foundation became one of the defining characteristics of his work. He never seemed afraid of characters who were strange, flamboyant, mysterious, frightening, or completely unlike himself. Instead, he embraced them with a confidence that allowed audiences to believe in worlds that existed far beyond ordinary reality. His breakthrough as Dr. Frank-N-Furter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show became one of the most important performances of his career, creating a character that would remain iconic for decades. The film itself developed a remarkable cult following, and Curry became inseparable from one of cinema's most recognizable characters. But the story of Tim Curry did not end there. In fact, for many viewers, that was only the beginning. His ability to move between comedy, drama, horror, fantasy, animation, and voice work made his career unusually diverse. Then came the role that introduced an entirely different generation to his talent. In the television adaptation of Stephen King's It, Curry portrayed Pennywise, a character that became one of the most recognizable figures in horror. His performance was unsettling not because it relied on graphic imagery, but because Curry understood something fundamental about fear. Sometimes the most disturbing thing is the uncertainty of what a character might do next. His voice, movements, smile, and unpredictable personality created a version of Pennywise that stayed in the memories of viewers long after the television event ended. For many fans who discovered Curry through that role, it became impossible to think about the character without hearing his distinctive voice. Yet focusing only on those two famous performances would leave out an enormous part of his legacy. Tim Curry also built an extensive career in theater, where his dramatic abilities had already been recognized long before many movie audiences knew his name. He performed on major stages and took on demanding roles that required a completely different kind of discipline from film acting. Theater performers have to connect with an audience in real time, without the ability to simply stop and repeat a moment. Curry's stage experience helped shape the commanding presence that later became so effective on screen. He understood timing, voice, movement, character, and audience reaction in a way that few performers could match. That is one reason his performances often felt larger than life. Even when the character was exaggerated, Curry never seemed to lose control of the performance. He knew exactly how much to give the audience and when to hold something back. That quality became especially important in the roles that followed. Curry appeared in films such as Clue, Home Alone 2, The Three Musketeers, Congo, and many others, continually demonstrating that he could reinvent himself. Sometimes he was funny, sometimes mysterious, sometimes intimidating, sometimes completely absurd, and sometimes his voice alone was enough to make a character memorable. His work in animation and voice acting introduced him to audiences who might never have seen him on stage or in his most famous live-action roles. He voiced characters in animated projects and video games, allowing his distinctive vocal talent to become another part of his legacy. For fans, that creates an unusual feeling when stories about his health or possible death appear online. Tim Curry exists in so many different eras of entertainment that losing him would not feel like losing one performer from one generation. It would feel like losing a connection between several generations of audiences. Older fans remember Rocky Horror, others remember Pennywise, some remember his comedic roles, others recognize him instantly from animated characters or video games, and some know him primarily as a theater performer. All of those versions of Tim Curry are part of the same legacy. That is why the phrase "final farewell" carries so much emotional weight, but it is also why accuracy matters. A celebrity death story can spread across social media in minutes, sometimes before any legitimate confirmation exists. Fans see a headline, share it, and suddenly thousands of people believe something that may not have happened. With someone as beloved as Tim Curry, that can create a wave of unnecessary grief. So the responsible approach is to distinguish between confirmed information and speculation. At the moment, the supplied reference does not provide a verified death announcement, funeral information, memorial details, or a confirmed cause of death. Therefore, those elements should not be presented as fact. What is certain is that Curry has faced major health challenges in the past, including a serious stroke in 2012 that affected his mobility, but he continued working afterward and remained active in creative projects. His resilience became another part of the story fans admired. Rather than allowing one devastating health event to erase his identity as an artist, Curry continued to perform voice characters, appear publicly when possible, and maintain a connection with his audience. That resilience makes any discussion about his final days especially sensitive. Fans naturally remember the difficult moments, but they also remember the determination that followed them. And perhaps that is where the emotional heart of Tim Curry's story can be found. His legacy is not defined by one character, one movie, or one difficult chapter. It is defined by the fact that he repeatedly entered worlds that demanded extraordinary imagination and made them feel real. He could walk onto a stage and become someone completely different. He could appear on screen and make an audience laugh one moment and feel uneasy the next. He could lend his voice to character and make that voice unforgettable. Few performers have managed to create such a broad range of memories across so many forms of entertainment. If a confirmed announcement about Tim Curry's passing were ever made, the reaction would undoubtedly stretch across the entertainment world. Actors, directors, theater communities, horror fans, Rocky Horror audiences, animation fans, and generations of people who grew up watching his work would all have their own stories to tell. There would be discussions about his most iconic roles, retrospectives of his career, and countless people sharing the first time they encountered his work. But even without such a confirmed announcement in the supplied material, it is easy to understand why people feel emotional when confronted with the possibility. Some performers simply entertain us, others become part of our identity. Tim Curry belongs to that second category for many fans. His characters are not easily forgotten because they were never ordinary. They challenged expectations. They were dramatic, unusual, theatrical, mysterious, and often unforgettable. Dr. Frank-N-Furter became a cultural icon. Pennywise became a defining horror performance. His other roles added humor, personality, and depth to the rest of his career. Together, they created something that cannot be erased by time. There's also something powerful about the way audiences continue to rediscover Tim Curry. Every year, younger viewers encounter the Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time. New generations discover the original It. Others find his performances through clips, streaming services, animated projects, or video games. They may have no connection to the era when these performances were originally released, yet the same reaction often happens. They see Tim Curry and immediately understand why he became famous. That is the mark of a truly lasting performer. His work does not require the audience to have been there when it happened. It continues to communicate across decades. And that may be the most important thing to remember whenever a death rumor begins circulating. The internet can make a performer appear to disappear in a single headline, but a real artistic legacy does not work that way. Tim Curry's performances are still available. His characters are still discussed. His influence can still be seen in the performers who followed him. His work continues to introduce new audiences to the theatrical power that made him unique. If and when there is ever a genuine final farewell, it will not erase those memories. It will simply mark the end of one chapter in the life of a performer whose work has already become part of entertainment history. For now, though, the responsible conclusion is simple. There is no death, funeral, or memorial information contained in the supplied reference that can be independently treated as confirmed fact, so viewers should be cautious about dramatic claims presented without reliable verification. That does not make Tim Curry's story any less powerful. If anything, it gives us a reason to focus on what can actually be celebrated. The career, the characters, the stage performances, the unforgettable voice, the humor, the imagination, and the resilience of a performer who gave audiences something they could not easily find anywhere else. Tim Curry did not need to play ordinary characters to become extraordinary. He built his career by taking risks, embracing theatricality, and bringing an unmistakable individuality to every performance. And that is why his name continues to mean so much. For some, he is Frank-N-Furter. For others, he will always be Pennywise. For others, he is the voice behind a favorite animated character, the actor from a childhood movie, or the stage performer whose work changed the way they understood theater. Each memory is different, but together they form the same remarkable picture. A performer who refused to be confined to one category. A performer who could make audiences laugh, wonder, and feel suspense. A performer whose career crossed generations and genres. So if you have seen a headline claiming that Tim Curry has passed away, remember that a headline is not the same thing as confirmation. Until reliable sources establish the facts, his story should be treated with care rather than turned into an invented funeral narrative. But one thing requires no confirmation at all: Tim Curry's impact is real. His performances have already outlived countless trends, technologies, and entertainment eras. His characters continue to be quoted, remembered, analyzed, celebrated, and rediscovered. And perhaps that is the most fitting way to think about a legend whose work has always been larger than life. The final farewell to Tim Curry, whenever that day truly comes, will not be defined by a single ceremony or a single headline. It will be heard in the applause of theater audiences, remembered in the laughter of movie fans, felt by generations who grew up with his characters, and preserved every time someone presses play and watches him transform into someone unforgettable. Until then, the story is not about saying goodbye. It is about remembering why Tim Curry became a legend in the first place.